Have you ever thought to yourself, this is it, I am going to die? Please like and subscribe to support this channel. Fireman here. One time while operating on an apartment fire, the stairwell experienced flashover conditions. A flashover is when all of the smoke coming from the fire reaches an ignition point and all of a sudden, everything is on fire. Command asked for the evacuation tones to get everyone out of the building, and I was in the stairwell and separated from my crew. That was a mistake on my end. I turned to leave the building and was greeted with a wall of fire coming right at me. I crouched down on the stairwell and baked for a second. At that point I accepted that this was how it was going to end for me. Seconds after that I said fuck that and found an apartment door. I forced entry into the apartment and was going to shelter in place there or try to find a window. The apartment had one step down into the living room that I was not expecting, so as soon as I walked in I immediately tripped down a step. Already angry, and having no luck finding a window, I decided to wait a little bit for the fire to be knocked down. As soon as the thought went through my head, my facepiece starts to vibrate, indicating I was low on air. I could hear water being put on the fire outside the apartment, so I decided to try the stairwell again. I opened the door and could see that the fire had died down a little in the hallway and walked out of the building. I ended up with second and third degree burns on my wrists and hands. There is a picture that I will try to find later of the only white part left of the stairwell. It is a perfect outline of where I had been crouched down into a ball while the fire rolled over me. That shit was scary. The fire ended up going to multiple alarms with one civilian fatality and multiple firefighter injuries. Arson. Fuck that guy. Patty Divemaster here. Yay scuba. I had one panic attack in my entire life. I was spelunking with the Boy Scouts, and thought I could fit in between two rocks to get to the other side. Held my breath to squeeze through and got stuck. My arms had no leverage to push me back out. I was only stuck for about 15 seconds, but I seriously freaked the fuck out and literally thought, this is how I die, until two of the guys I went with pulled me out. I don't go in caves anymore. Apparently there is a choose your own adventure book that has this as a death scene. No thanks. Passenger in a speeding car. The road was terrible and we went over a bump which made the car go airborne for a very brief moment towards oncoming traffic. Our car ended up in the oncoming traffic lane with a car heading our way a handful of yards away. The car regained traction and the driver snapped back into our lane just before collision. I felt like my heart totally stopped beating as I was watching the oncoming car come towards us. Nobody in the car spoke for the next 10 minutes. Yeah, when I was living in Seattle, I bike commuted to Queen Anne from the Central District every day for work. I'd just gotten a crappy used bike from Craigslist. I was dirt poor, and was riding it down Denny, huge ass hill, in the rain when my brakes wouldn't take. So here I am, going like 25 miles per hour down one of the steepest hills in Seattle towards a red light that has intense cross traffic. And all I could think was, wow, this is how they'll tell my mother it happened. But I Flintstone stopped to slow my speed and grabbed onto the side mirror of a moving truck, and tragedy was averted. The driver of the moving truck was going to yell at me, but when he saw the look of sheer terror on my face just made him laugh. You okay? He asked. Well, I am now, I said. We both laughed. There was major flooding in my hometown and a chiropractor was offering free adjustments in a park to volunteers who were helping clean up. I stepped up, took my turn, and he immediately twisted my head to the side and cracked every vertebrae in my neck. Before he had time to twist my head in the other direction, I accepted that there was a possibility that he was going to snap my neck and I was going to die. Once I was scaling a mountain with my cousins where we decided to embark climbing a treacherous overhang. At the time, I had a very ambitious mindset and thought I could do it, plus combined with my cousins egging me on, I did not want to disappoint. In a quick swoop, I jumped and got a hold of the protruding rock. The sweat from my palms created a slick, oily grime that did not help me stabilize my grip. I fervently started to move my feet in an effort to gain traction since behind me was a menacing 200 feet drop. Instantly, a feeling of immense loneliness surged through my body. I instinctively went into panic mode. As adrenaline surged through my body, trying to find any grip possible, I dangled on my belly trying to find the strength to push myself up and gain a foothold. For that moment, I thought to myself, this is it. 4th of July party at a friend's house. About 50 people all out in his backyard. Big space, pool, 2-story shed, garage detached at the back of the yard. We had spent about $2,000 on all kinds of high-power fireworks. We had a few hundred mortars, so we took a 6 feet x 6 piece of plywood and screwed 24 mortar tubes to it and sat it up on sawhorses so we could fire tons of mortars quickly. Things were going great until one of the drunk idiots put a mortar in upside down. It exploded in the tube, and then burst out the side. It fired directly into the giant crate that held all of the fireworks we bought. I was standing just inside the detached garage, and the crate was in front of me in the opening just outside. I didn't have time to get out. Everybody ran, but I was trapped in the garage. I darted into the corner of the garage where the double door met the wall. There was about a foot of coverage. I squeezed standing into that corner as close as I could and was trapped there. It was like Armageddon. The noise was deafening. I could feel the heat on my back. I had my eyes clenched shut, but I could sense how bright it was behind me in the garage. I felt the fireworks hitting me in the back, but I knew I couldn't move yet. There were thousands of fireworks all going off at the same time. Time slowed down to nothing. I thought about the tractor that was behind me in the garage, and how it had a gas tank, and that there were gas cans in the garage to fill the tractor with, and pretty soon one of them is going to blow and I'm going to die. I couldn't breathe anymore, the smoke was overpowering and the air was acrid. I then accepted that I was going to die. I thought about how stupid I was going to look as yet another idiot dying on the 4th of July due to fireworks safety. Then my mind kind of shifted. I thought about my ex-girlfriend and how I still loved her and wished that things had turned out better. I thought about The Sopranos and the episode where Junior shoots Tony. After what seemed like an eternity, the rapid-fire explosion started to slow down just a bit. It was barely perceptible, but it snapped me out of it. I realized that the gas hadn't exploded yet, and I hadn't passed out from lack of oxygen yet. I decided that I was going to make a move. I paused for a couple of seconds, then bolted out from around the corner and ran as fast as I could, covering my hands over my face, jumping over the fireworks crate that was blocking my escape. This caused me to trip and fall, and then I just crawled as fast as I could. As soon as I got away from the garage, one of the people threw a bucket of water on me from the pool. Apparently the folks that were watching us shoot the fireworks saw me get stuck in the garage. They grabbed buckets and coolers full of water and ran down to try and stop the fireworks. Apparently 2 guys got a whole cooler of water right onto the crate, which caused the explosions to slow down. They were the only ones who were able to get close enough. I'm glad they were drunk and didn't have any common sense. That was ballsy as hell of them. Amazingly, the only injuries I sustained were some small burns on my back. My clothes were ruined, the backs of my shirt and pants were burnt away. The next day we went out to look at the garage to assess the damage. When I saw it, all I could think was, wow, I should be dead. It was a 2-floor garage. All of the windows were busted out. The tires on the tractor were all flat. The inside of the garage was burned out. I don't know how it was even still standing, or how it didn't catch fire completely and burn overnight. They ended up tearing the garage down and rebuilding it. We joke about it now, and every year on the 4th of July I get my chops busted. But I'll never forget that feeling of absolute terror followed by resignation when I realized I was going to die. TLDR, don't let drunks play with fireworks around you. Always have a way out if something goes wrong. One night I drove to a friend's apartment at night. I parked my car a bit far away and was walking to the stairs when I saw about 10 guys come out and surround me. One of them asked me a question, something about directions, and while I answered, another punched me in the back of the head and knocked me over. They kicked me for a while and went through my pockets. I was sure they would kick me to death, or stab me when they were done robbing me. After they got my wallet, though, they ran off. I limped to my buddy's place and called the cops. A side note of dark humor, they also stole my glasses, but they obviously couldn't use them. I have very bad vision, so they threw them down in the parking lot. When the police showed up, they ran my glasses over. They still dutifully returned them to me, squashed flat. I'm a diver too, and there are some serious problems here. First, your dive buddy is an asshole and you should never dive with him again. You have to rely on your buddy to help you out in these situations, and clearly you can't rely on him. Second, what were you doing at 105 feet on your first dive after certification? The general cert is only down to 60 feet to give people a chance to get used to diving before they go so deep they can really fuck things up. Why didn't you notice your air situation until it was halfway in the red? This sort of falls under the second issue. Novice divers need to stay closer to the surface just in case they do things like forget to check their air. I know it's hard when your friends are going deep, but you have to look out for yourself. Sure, your dive buddy is supposed to have your back, but you are the one with the main motivation to keep yourself alive under there. Third, fourth-ish. If you've been in a situation where you may have the bends, why would you drink that day? Didn't you say you just got certified? Don't you remember that part? This was a really sucky situation to be in and I'm so glad you got out okay. But please take care of yourself while diving. Other than your buddy's douchebaggery, this was an avoidable situation. Don't go deeper than 60 feet until you're experienced. Remember to check your gauges, and don't drink after an ascent like that. I was 15, it was winter, and my best friend and I swam to an island in the middle of a lake, taking some supplies, including matches to make a fire. We realize how stupid this is once we're on the island and can't make a fire due to the lack of burnable material. So we decide we'll go back to the mainland and light a fire there to warm ourselves up. At this point, we realized how imperative fire was, because we were getting dangerously cold. He swims back first, and I swim second. It is my job to bring the matches with me and keep them dry. I'm about 20 meters from the shore and I'm not thinking straight and I'm swimming breast crawl one-handed, with the matches held high above the water, which of course is very hard. The water is just too cold, and my muscles don't work, and the shore is so far away, and the matches seem so heavy, and I can't kick my legs or move my free arm anymore. So I just slowed and sank. I struggled as I was going under, taking some short and labored breaths but not making any noise. I still had the matches in my hand, above the water. And somehow I just give up and sink down, in a Superman pose holding the matches up. I was looking up towards air, going down slowly, and I remember just thinking, feeling, yay, guess this is it, and not being very bothered by the notion. It wasn't scary. My friend noticed me slip under, swam in, dragged me out, and we started a fire. Myself and two friends were driving home at like 4:45 in the morning in a pickup truck, and we each had to get home by 5 o'clock, so we were flying. One friend driving, one in the middle and me hanging out the window like a jackass, holding onto what I call the "oh shit" handle on the inside ceiling. We were going too fast to turn when we came to a fork in the road and ended up swerving like crazy, which would have pitched me out the window, had I not grabbed the inside of the door, been holding the handle, and most importantly had the guy in the middle not grabbed me by the ankles and held on for my dear life. It was probably 1 second at most, but I had enough time to think, good job asshole, they're gonna scrape you off the pavement with a fucking shovel. 50 yards later we're in the middle of the road, perpendicular to the lanes, and we just started cackling. Then we sped home and I laid in bed trembling for a few hours. TL. Dr. My magnificent idiocy almost turned me into roadside person jello.